You're 60 years old, maybe even a bit beyond that, and lately something just doesn't feel quite right. You walk into a room and completely blank on why you're there. You're talking to someone, and your train of thought just derails in the middle of a sentence. You set your keys down somewhere and then spend the next 20 minutes tearing the house apart looking for them. And the part that truly terrifies you? You're starting to wonder if this is simply how it's going to be from now on. If this is the early warning sign of something you have absolutely no power to halt. But what if I stood here and told you that your brain is far from throwing in the towel? What if I told you that the real culprit isn't your age at all, but rather what you've been putting on your plate? Or even more critically, what you have been inadvertently leaving off of it? Stick with me, because over the next several minutes, I'm going to guide you through 5 specific foods that scientists and medical professionals have been quietly hailing as some of the most formidable brain protectors on the face of the earth. And the final one on the list? Most folks over 60 have never once considered it as a food that could support their cognitive function. Now, before we jump into the actual list, there is something crucial I need you to grasp. Your brain isn't like a light switch that just clicks off one day without warning. It's far more accurate to think of it as a garden. If you neglect to water it, if you stop supplying it with the proper nutrients, it will slowly begin to wither and fade. But here is the beautiful, hopeful truth. A garden can be brought back to life. It can be revived. Emerging research is demonstrating to us with greater clarity than ever before that the food you select for your plate engages in a direct and ongoing conversation with your brain every single day. The things you eat either nourish your memory, sharpen your ability to concentrate, and shield your neurons, or they gradually chip away at those very same functions. And for individuals over 60, this isn't just casual dinner table chatter. This is the deciding factor between remembering your grandchildren's birthdays and struggling to recall what you had for breakfast this morning. So, I want you to get comfortable, because we are going to work through these one by one, beginning with number 5. And I promise you, each one is going to catch you off guard in its own unique way. Some of these items are probably sitting in your kitchen cupboards or refrigerator at this very moment, and you had absolutely no clue what they were doing for your brain, or what they could potentially achieve if you began incorporating them into your diet more frequently and with more deliberate intention. Let's dive right in. Number 5 on our list is blueberries. And yes, I know you have probably heard that blueberries are good for you, but I can assure you that the vast majority of people do not truly understand the profound reasons why. And once you hear about the precise biological processes that unfold inside your brain when you consume them, you will never look at this tiny, unassuming fruit in the same light again. Imagine your brain as a bustling, vibrant city. There are roads and highways connecting every neighborhood, every building, every single home. Those roads represent your neural pathways, the vital connections between your brain cells that enable you to think, to remember, and to function normally throughout your day. Now, picture that city being under relentless, constant attack from pollution. That pollution, inside your body, is what we call oxidative stress. It is made up of free radicals that drift through your bloodstream, inflicting damage on your cells, tearing up those neural roads, and slowing down the entire system. Blueberries contain a powerful compound known as anthocyanins. That is the pigment responsible for giving them their deep, vibrant blue-purple color. And these anthocyanins act like an elite cleanup crew. They move into the brain and neutralize that hazardous pollution before it has a chance to cause serious, lasting damage. But here is where the story becomes even more compelling. Scientific studies have repeatedly demonstrated that people who eat blueberries on a regular basis actually experience a measurable slowdown in cognitive aging. What that translates to in plain English is this: their brains were functioning like the brains of people who were years younger than their actual chronological age. And I don't mean a few months, I mean legitimate years. And this isn't some exotic, hard-to-find berry that you have to special order online. This is a fruit that is available in nearly every grocery store, whether you choose fresh or frozen. And here is a wonderful bonus. Frozen blueberries actually retain the vast majority of their nutritional power beautifully, so you don't have to worry about missing out on the benefits. The simplest and most straightforward way to get blueberries into your daily routine is to throw a generous handful into your morning yogurt, blend them into a refreshing smoothie, or honestly, just eat them straight from the bowl as a quick, satisfying snack. You do not need to consume a massive amount. A small cup per day is sufficient to begin providing your brain with that crucial protective shield. And here is the key point. The benefit accumulates over time. This isn't a one-day quick fix. This is a long-term, sustained investment in the future health of your brain. Think of it as making regular deposits into a savings account where the interest you earn is your preserved memory and clarity. Now, here is what I want you to sit with for just a moment before we move on. Blueberries protect the brain from damage. That is incredibly powerful on its own. But the next food on our list does something completely distinct. It actually assists your brain in communicating more rapidly and efficiently. And when you hear the mechanism behind how it works, you are going to want to add it to your very next grocery shopping trip immediately. Number 4 is fatty fish, and I am specifically referring to varieties like salmon, sardines, mackerel, and herring. Now, if you are not a big fan of fish in general, please stick with me because I am also going to explain how you can achieve the same benefit without forcing yourself to eat something you genuinely do not enjoy. But first, let me break down exactly what is happening here at a biological level. Your brain is approximately 60% fat. I know that might sound a bit unusual, but it is an undeniable fact. And a significant portion of that fat is composed of something called omega-3 fatty acids, specifically a subtype known as DHA. Now, here is the critical problem. Your body is not capable of manufacturing DHA on its own. You have to obtain it directly from the foods you consume. When you are younger, your brain is packed with ample DHA stored in the membranes of your neurons. Those membranes are what facilitate your brain cells in passing signals back and forth rapidly and efficiently. But as you get older, if you are not actively replenishing that DHA supply through your diet, those membranes begin to weaken and lose their integrity. Think of it like a mobile phone with a weak, spotty reception. The signal is technically there, but it keeps breaking up and cutting out. You reach for a memory and it feels just slightly out of your grasp. You try to concentrate on something and you find your attention constantly drifting away. That sluggishness, that pervasive foggy feeling can be directly connected to a drop in your brain's DHA levels. When you eat fatty fish 2 or 3 times a week, you are literally supplying your brain with the essential building blocks it needs to reconstruct those membranes, improve that reception, and get the signal flowing clearly and efficiently again. And individuals who do this consistently report something that science strongly supports, a noticeably reduced risk of memory decline over the long haul. Not just a slower decline, but genuine, meaningful protection. And for seniors specifically, this is not optional nutrition. This is foundational, non-negotiable fuel for your cognitive engine. Now, if you truly cannot eat fish, or you follow a strict plant-based diet, there is a highly effective solution available: algae-based omega-3 supplements. And here is an interesting fact. Fish actually get their DHA by consuming algae in the first place. So, going directly to the source, the algae itself, is actually a very smart and efficient move. Always talk to your doctor before starting any new supplement regimen, but know that this option exists and it is scientifically proven to be effective. But wait, we are only at number 4, and already we have covered protecting brain cells and improving how quickly they communicate with one another. So what could possibly come next? Number 3 is the one that genuinely shocks most people. It is not glamorous. It is not trendy. It is not the subject of flashy social media posts. But the science underpinning it is quietly extraordinary, and older adults, especially, are almost never eating enough of it. Number 3 is leafy greens, and I am talking about dark, rich, deeply colored greens like spinach, kale, Swiss chard, and collard greens. Now, I can already hear what some of you are thinking. Vegetables again? But please, grant me just 60 seconds before you skip ahead, because the specific reason leafy greens are so crucial for your brain has nothing to do with generalized, vague health advice. It is very targeted, very specific, and very real. These greens are loaded with a particular nutrient called folate, along with vitamin K and lutein. And here is why those three specific compounds matter for your brain, especially after the age of 60. Folate assists your body in managing something called homocysteine. Homocysteine is an amino acid that occurs naturally in the body, but when its levels become too high, which happens more frequently as we advance in age, it becomes genuinely harmful to brain tissue. Elevated homocysteine has been directly linked to faster cognitive decline and a greater risk of developing memory problems. Folate acts like a regulator, a wise overseer. It keeps homocysteine in check, protecting the delicate tissue inside your brain from unnecessary damage. Vitamin K, on the other hand, plays a pivotal role in something called sphingolipid metabolism. Now, I promise to avoid heavy medical jargon, so let me translate that for you. Sphingolipids are a specific type of fat that constitutes the protective covering around your nerve fibers, kind of like the rubber insulation that surrounds an electrical wire. If that insulation starts to break down or degrade, the signals traveling between brain cells can become crossed, confused, or significantly delayed. Vitamin K helps maintain that protective covering, keeping your brain's intricate wiring intact and functioning smoothly. And lutein concentrates in the brain, specifically in the regions responsible for learning and memory, and it acts as a powerful antioxidant right at the source, protecting those crucial areas from damage. One notable study discovered that older adults with higher lutein levels in their blood had brains that functioned more like those of significantly younger adults. Again, not slightly younger, but measurably, noticeably younger. Now, the beautiful thing about leafy greens is how incredibly versatile and flexible they are. You do not have to sit down to a massive bowl of salad if salads are not your preferred way to eat. You can throw a handful of fresh spinach into your scrambled eggs, add some chopped kale to a simmering soup, or blend Swiss chard into a fruit smoothie where you will barely even taste it. You can steam some collard greens with a bit of garlic and a drizzle of olive oil, and they become genuinely delicious and satisfying. The ultimate goal is consistency. Aim for a serving each day, on most days of the week, and your brain will begin to feel the positive difference over the course of weeks and months. Here is where I want to pause and ask you a reflective question. We are halfway through this list, and every single food we have covered so far has shown up in scientific research as a genuine protector of the aging brain. Not a miracle cure, not a magical pill, but a real, supportive force that your brain desperately needs and that most seniors are simply not getting enough of. So, ask yourself right now, honestly, how many of these have you been eating consistently? If the answer is not many, that is not a reason to feel guilty or defeated. It is a reason to feel hopeful, because the changes we are talking about are straightforward, simple, and they are available to almost everyone. And the next food on our list might very well be the easiest one to add to your daily routine, but the reason it works is something most people would never in a million years expect. Number 2 is walnuts. And no, I am not grouping walnuts in with other nuts in a general category. I am talking specifically about walnuts, because among all the nuts in the world, Walnuts possess a unique and distinctive nutritional profile that makes them especially relevant and beneficial for brain health in older adults. And here is the first thing that always brings a smile to people's faces. Have you ever noticed that a walnut, when you crack open its shell, actually looks remarkably like a tiny human brain? Two distinct halves, complete with folds and ridges. It is almost as if nature has a sense of humor. But, beyond the amusing appearance, the actual nutritional content of a walnut is truly remarkable. Walnuts contain a plant-based form of omega-3 fatty acids. Not the same DHA you get from fish, but a precursor called ALA, which your body can partially convert into the more active forms. They also contain a very high level of antioxidants, higher than almost any other nut you can find. But the most fascinating thing about walnuts, specifically for people over 60, is their pronounced effect on something called neuroinflammation. Now, inflammation in the body is not always a bad thing. Acute inflammation is simply your immune system doing its job, responding to an immediate threat. But chronic, slow-burning inflammation in the brain, known as neuroinflammation, is now being extensively studied as one of the primary drivers of memory loss and cognitive decline in aging adults. Think of it like a fire that is always smoldering somewhere in the back of your house. It never fully flares up, so you do not notice it on a day-to-day basis. But over the course of years, it is quietly, insidiously doing damage to the walls and the foundation. Walnuts contain powerful compounds that help dampen that smoldering fire. They help bring the inflammation down to a level where your brain can function properly without constantly fighting against itself. And when your brain is not spending all its energy battling inflammation, it has more resources available for what you actually want it to do. Remembering important things, staying focused, thinking with clarity and precision. On top of all that, walnuts support something called the gut-brain axis. Your gut and your brain are in constant bidirectional communication through the nervous system and through chemical signals traveling in the bloodstream. The overall health of your gut directly influences the health of your brain. Walnuts are a prebiotic food, meaning they feed the good beneficial bacteria living in your gut. And when those good bacteria thrive and flourish, they produce compounds that travel up to the brain and support positive mood, sharp focus, and even enhanced memory. Just a small handful, about an ounce, which is roughly 14 walnut halves, is enough to unlock these substantial benefits. You can eat them straight as a snack, crush them over your morning oatmeal, mix them into a fresh salad, or stir them into a bowl of yogurt. They are satisfying, they are filling, and every single one of them is quietly having a conversation with your brain that goes something like, "We are here, we have got your back, keep going, keep thriving." Now, before I reveal number one, the food that I genuinely believe is the most underrated, overlooked brain protector for people over 60, the one that almost nobody talks about, but that the research is increasingly pointing to as something truly extraordinary, I need you to do something for me. If this video is proving helpful to you, if you have learned something that genuinely surprised you, or that you are planning to actually use in your daily life, please hit that like button right now. It takes less than 1 second, and it helps this vital information reach more people who are in desperate need of it. More seniors who are quietly, anxiously worried about their memory. More people who just want to know with certainty that there is something actionable they can do. That one single tap from you makes a tangible difference in spreading this message. Also, I would love for you to drop a comment down below and simply tell me your age. Just your age, nothing more. I want to see our community represented in those comments, whether you are 62 or 78 or even 55. And planning ahead proactively, say hello, share your age, and let us build something real and supportive down there. A community of people who are actively choosing to take care of their brains and not simply accept cognitive decline as an inevitable part of aging because I promise you, it is not inevitable. And number one is going to demonstrate that to you with compelling evidence. Number one on this list is extra virgin olive oil, and I can already hear some of you thinking skeptically, olive oil? That is the big reveal? But please, stay with me for just a few more minutes, because the reason olive oil holds the number one position on this list is not what you might assume. And once you truly understand what it actually does inside your aging brain at a molecular level, you will understand exactly why researchers are calling it one of the most significant dietary discoveries for cognitive health in modern times. Here's where we need to talk about something called autophagy. Now, I know that word sounds complicated and scientific, but the concept behind it is beautifully simple and elegant. Autophagy is your brain's built-in self-cleaning system. It is the intricate biological process by which your brain cells identify old, damaged, or dysfunctional proteins and cellular debris, the biological trash that accumulates naturally over decades of living, and systematically clear it out. Think of it like your brain taking out its own garbage on a regular schedule. When this system works well and efficiently, the brain stays clean, cells stay healthy, and connections stay sharp and responsive. When this system starts to fail, which it inevitably does as we get older, that garbage begins to pile up and accumulate. And that accumulation of damaged proteins inside the brain is now being looked at as a central feature of age-related memory decline and cognitive deterioration. Here is where extra virgin olive oil becomes truly extraordinary. It contains a remarkable compound called oleocanthal. Oleocanthal has been shown in rigorous scientific research to activate and significantly enhance the brain's autophagy process. It essentially helps your brain take out the trash more effectively and efficiently. It stimulates the cleanup crew, helps clear out the accumulated debris, and in doing so, reduces the burden on your neurons so they can get back to doing their primary job, which is keeping you sharp, present, and deeply connected to your memories and your life. But that is not all oleocanthal does. It also possesses powerful anti-inflammatory properties, targeting the same kind of neuroinflammation we discussed with walnuts, but through a different complementary mechanism.